you can't handle the heat.
IYCHTH, welcome back to another episode of Can't Handle the Heat. It's your boy G Swizz, joined by
Joe Worsley.
Sadly, we are not here with Micah. And although Shano may not be able to join us this week, we're still doing the Shano news. It will still be a weekly.
Shano's bailing on the boys.
Shano is bailing on the boys. Drop an L in the chat for Shano. Just kidding. No, we love Shano. He'll be back. But with that, let's get into the latest news with women's college volleyball. The largest crowd in NCAA volleyball history happened this weekend with Creighton versus Nebraska. It was 15,700 and... Wait, I have it right here. 15,707, I believe, or 797. So almost 15,000. A lot. Which is pretty crazy. I mean, I thought it'd be more. I thought it'd be more, though. Like, think about, like...
What facility that college volleyball hosts would be able to host more?
NCAA finals. Don't they have,
Where?
like... I remember watching the videos last year, the Final Four, and that thing looked like it could host a lot more than... It's way bigger than the stand.
Yeah. I don't know.
In Nebraska?
I'm just saying, like, there's not a whole lot. It's not surprising that it's not way more because, first of all, attendance in general for volleyball matches, and two, facility-wise, there's not a whole lot of facilities out there that volleyball teams play in that can host that size of an event. So, let's say, and of course, it's in Nebraska, like Nebraska Creighton. I don't think it would be hard to guess that if it was a trivia question.
That's true. That is true. But it was at Creighton, which is a shocker to me.
Yeah, but it's in Omaha. In Omaha. That's where Nebraska plays a lot of big matches. In that arena there.
Creighton is that. I don't know my geography well when it comes to Creighton.
They're right down the freeway.
I didn't know that.
Highway. I don't know. What is it? Nebraska highway or freeway?
I don't know. We were there, though, whatever it was.
Yeah.
On our next as well, let's get into AVP a little here. Shout out to Try and Trevor winning their Chicago Open, the final. Back. That's their third one of the summer, though, yeah.
Third one of the summer, back to back. No guarantee, though. Even though try to get him to do it.
Really?
Beat his brother in the finals. Shano's prediction's still staying alive. The Taylor's not winning.
That is true. And he gets Trevor Try.
I was sitting there waiting. They had match point.
And I was like, Trevor, and he literally said Try and Trevor's going to win. So, although it didn't look like it was going to happen at times.
Might not show up, but he does know when he does know what he's talking about.
That's fair. He does. That's why I have him on. Let's talk about a couple of notable losses this week.
Losses? What that means there's also notable wins.
Notable wins from...
Half glass full or half...
That's true. Okay, how about notable wins from teams that were unranked or lowerly ranked?
Those are more notable wins.
Notable wins and notable losses. I mean, it depends where you look at it. Upsets.
Exactly. Positive or negative.
All right. With that being said, number 22 UCLA loses versus, I think got swept versus unranked LMU. And then you got, it was Georgia Tech, number 8, swept number 10 BYU. As well as USD, unranked to begin with, beat Ohio State, and they beat Pitt, who were both number 6 and number 8. And now they're ranked after beating 2 top 10 opponents in the first 2 weeks.
In 1 week?
In 1 week, yeah, the first 2 weeks here.
Unranked beating 2 top.
Yeah. And let's get into our last segment of Shano News here. Let's talk about the World Championships. Joe, you want to give a quick breakdown of the World Championships really quick?
Well, yeah, by the time this comes out, we're into the semifinals. Some huge matchups, obviously powerhouses. We got Brazil, Poland on one side, and on the other side we have Slovenia playing Italy. A lot of youth on both sides. Everybody was questioning those who were paying attention.
Slovenia youth?
Those who were paying attention. Poland beating U.S. in a 5-set thriller in front of sold-out arena in Poland. Obviously, Poland and Slovenia, the host countries. So that being a huge advantage. Poland's the greatest volleyball fan base in the entire world in terms of from volleyball. I'm sure Brazilian fans will try to argue against that, but if everything you see, everything you hear, and also then playing in there, I think obviously Mike played there last year. I had Zaxa in Champions League. We had a big match there. Have you played in Poland yet?
No.
So yeah, for us, an experience, Mike playing a whole season in Poland. People don't understand in Poland, there is weekly like major TV shows about the volleyball.
Like, if
about
you
the
were to
whole
compare it to a TV show in America,
it's a traditional like sports in Poland.
like a Jimmy Fallon type kind of thing.
Yes, not that's a night show. That's
Right,
not-
but what are the big shows?
I'm talking about like you go on Sports Center and it's like they have like Monday Night Football, like a talk like that. They have shows like that for volleyball in Bundesliga. And yeah, anywhere you go, all the major companies are using the volleyball players as their
Athletes,
spokespeople and
sponsors.
everything. Yeah. So Poland, young team relatively, especially. So there's people talking about how are they going to handle playing USA in such a big stage with all the youth they had on the floor. They came out 2-0, went up 2-0. US comes back the next two sets, ties it up at 2-2. And the fifth set, you could see the crowd just really ramp it up a notch, and the Polish team in general.
How many were there?
It was 15 something. I'm pretty sure. Maybe
15,797.
I'm sure we're gonna get corrected here by somebody in the chat or somebody in the
L in the chat for us.
Drop the exact number down below. I didn't see I didn't see an exact number come out. Usually I see that stuff come out on a few different media pages. I haven't seen that come out. It was sold out though, and it's been sold out for a while. And so them coming in Italy with a lot of youth on the floor, taking down the Olympic champions in 5 again. Huge win for them. Again, a lot of youth on the floor for them. Micheletto, Lanza, and all those guys really stepping up. And so if you haven't had a chance to check these teams out, some really high-level young players stepping up and being key roles for their teams. Slovenia had, Ukraine being up 14-12 in both of the later sets, losing in 4 to Slovenia. That would have been sweet. Plotnitsky playing unreal match. Ole Plotnitsky. I know for a lot of American people, they don't hear a lot of these names too often, and I highly recommend it if you're looking for high level volleyball and you want like these athletes right now participating in world championships. They're young, but the skill and the level of the serving is just incredible right now at the international level. And going and watching how teams handle the service pressure, how teams deal service pressure and everything. It's just a whole nother level of volleyball. And so I recommend you have semifinals, you have the finals this weekend. If you haven't watched a whole lot of volleyball, go watch these teams play. It's pretty gnarly. And then Brazil haven't missed a world championship final in 3 or 4 years now, or 3 or 4 quads now. And so it's been Poland. It's always been Poland and Brazil, but now they're meeting the semis. And so Brazil hasn't had a great summer.
They find a way though, huh?
They always do. Brazil's always people. It's so funny. People who are young into the international volleyball, like in terms of watching it, they'll watch Brazil and people always bet against Brazil. It's like if you've been paying attention to volleyball enough, major competitions, and especially if they've had a really poor performance in the competition before, they always respond well. And they haven't played great this tournament, but like we said, they just find ways to.
Think they had a good draw though?
Yeah, I mean but that comes with your world ranking and the position that you're in. So Brazil, Poland, in Katowice, Poland, and then Slovenia, Italy. Same thing on the semis. Finals Sunday night, bronze medal match right before. It's gonna be a sweet weekend of volleyball. Unfortunate for the U.S. They
played a hell of a game.
They did. They just people always ask they want an analysis and stuff. Just sets where they were giving up too many easy points. It's like when it's 2-point sets like that every single time, 2-3-point sets. Float serve, short balls, just not almost being ready for those and allowing easy stuff to fall for you. That stuff always come back to haunt you. You don't think about it in the moment when it's like, oh, this is kind of a difference, but then you get to the end of the set, you lose by 2 or 3 points. It's like boom, boom, boom. Those 3 points there, you clean that up. It's the same. Poland did a really good job dealing with those. They had their own issues, but there wasn't a whole lot of just easy stuff that was slipping by, and that's the difference usually of top level teams. margins are so small at that level. And he saw it on display wholly in the quarterfinals, Poland USA.
Yeah, I will say though, although it was kind of on both sides too, to be honest. Like they wouldn't met. Like,
Out of system setting again, dude.
I think USA did a good job at out of system setting. I don't think Poland did.
Poland didn't do.
USA had some gnarly sets. They had some really, really nice sets.
There's a lot of balls still 3-meter line, like, and they dealt with it. They
I think
big
USA did
big
well.
physical guys. No, they did much better than Poland. Poland was all over the place with it, and you heard their coach Gerbich talking about it. He's like, we were hitting balls at 2 meters. Now we're setting a little bit over. That's fine, but usually Poland, all those guys are known for being extremely strong on the first and second contact. So. But Poland's serving the other day, we talked about a lot. Like their service pressure just got to the U.S.
Everything was over for America.
In the biggest moments when they needed it, Poland's serve came through.
Everything was over like 71 miles an hour. Like each serve. Imagine that. That's fast for those of you who don't really know like miles per hour in serves. It's very fast. Like a really good serve is like I would say 68. So everything being over 71 miles an hour in Poland from some of the top players in the world. Not easy. And you saw it helped them in the long run. But with that being said, USA played a heck of a match. Playing in Poland's not easy. If you're a younger player, make sure you go and watch what a lot of these players are going to do, what they're doing.
Semis and finals this weekend. Go watch. You
watch some of the best volleyball in the world before you're going to miss a whole year of it, except if you watch professional, which we highly recommend. But with that being said, thank you for Shano News.
You can handle the heat. Yeah. You can handle the heat.
And as the boys with Shano News, welcome back to Can't Handle the Heat with the latest on the World Championships. Let's get into it, Joe. My favorite segment, Overseas Shiza, brought to you by Dr. Price Electrolytes Autism for 20% off. Link in the bio. Joey?
And the company of Germany. The country of Germany.
And the country of Germany.
The Overseas Shiza. I don't know. This is my 4th season now playing overseas, going on to my 4th season. All 4 are going to be in Germany. Different parts, though. And I'll be honest, it's been very different experiences going from my first years to the second 2 years, just in terms of like the club, the mindset of from top down, all the way from the top of like the president and everything down through the players. And so this year, we're on a team very young. For anybody who hasn't followed along, we have 4 Americans, 3 Canadians. So 7 of the 12 are North Americans, which is awesome. Our coach with the Canadian national team. So this is definitely the most North American heavy. I don't know if there's any team that ever in the history of European club volleyball that's been this lopsided in terms of like North Americans. And so I've played with my first year, or was it second year? One of the years we had a player from every single continent of the world except Asia.
Who's in Africa?
And Africa. So I guess only 5.
Antarctica?
We had an Antarctica player. we had players from literally all over. We were like looking at it. It was all over the world.
You had South
Everywhere.
American. Who's your South? You had Brazilian?
Who was our South American?
Was he? Did you have a Cuban or South American?
We had a Cuban. We had a South American too. If I try to think about this, we're gonna be sitting here in silence for a little bit. I'm really bad at that type of stuff, remembering names. Don't feel bad, whoever that is. But yeah, I would say one of the biggest things for me, coming into Germany, it was my first time to Europe. Period. The first time I moved to Germany. There was my first year, because going through college, basically like everybody's under 21 and all this, and like nowadays. Now we're old enough, we're of age, and we go out, we'll have, a couple drinks, hang out with groups of people and enjoy dinner and stuff, and that's also a very European thing. But after matches, it's always a pretty important thing. I hear a lot of people in Europe specifically talk about this, is teams that do stuff together off the court and are way more united off the court, you usually see that translates to a little bit of more camaraderie in the locker room and on the court. So I don't know, like that. I've been on both teams now here in Europe, where it's like you don't hang out outside the court, you don't really do a whole lot, and the guys are on their own. But also, I've been on teams where everybody kind of does stuff together. And we're on a team this year where literally we're a young team, a lot of young guys. A lot of guys just came out of college, which is a huge one. And so they have that college mindset. Over here in Europe, it's pretty big. Like, you go after games, you go out to dinner, you go out and you have, a couple drinks with your teammates and just hang out, talk, and go see some live music. But coaches come with you. That was always the biggest thing for me in Europe. Overseas, and that was like one of my first trips. We go, and our coaches, when I was down my first year, and the coach said, "All right, where are we going?" I'm like, "Where are we going?" I'm like, "What do you mean, where are we going? You're not going. You're not." But it's just like part of the culture. For me, that was always really funny, and so that was a big difference for me.
I remember we were playing friendly against I'm not gonna say the name, but we were in a friendly this past weekend, and I remember we all went out with the guys because we knew a lot of guys in Groningen. I remember going out. I remember in that Swiss club and dancing. Someone accidentally nudged me to the right, and it was like this guy's like the administration for the other club. I was like, "Hey, yo!" Like, what is it like that?
Yeah,
it's so different.
It's just stuff that in the U.S. doesn't happen. Like, you're not even in professional sports in the U.S. You don't hear a whole lot about coaches or anything. But in Europe, it's like everybody together all the time, and it's not weird at all. Like, you get used to it. Your physio, your athletic trainers, and everything. That was another thing for me. Some clubs definitely have this, but there's a lot of clubs that don't. Having an athletic trainer on site before practice and at practice. Most clubs, I would think, besides probably Poland and maybe even Italy, I heard not all the time there, having an athletic trainer on site. You don't have one. And that's really strange. Coming from the U.S. where you have 3 or 4 athletic trainers working with you constantly and you have full access to that all day the entire year. So that's, for me, that was always really weird, and I always just found that really strange. And that's just another thing out of Europe, the overseas shies, that's strange concept to you. So you're really in charge of taking care of your own body and maintaining that and getting yourself ready for everything.
If you get hurt, it's like the team scout who's gonna go. Give you.
I was taping somebody 2 weeks ago. My mom's athletic trainer stuff, and so I had a general idea. But they asked, "Oh, Joe, we need you to tape."
So what happens? Let's say you go down with a really bad injury. They call it the ambulance or something.
No, somebody will drive you to the physio or something. Our physio lives 40 minutes away. He has an office in town, right by us. But if we needed him, he most likely is at home, living out on the farm with his goats. And that's where we'd have to go. So that's just, it's just part of something you have to get used to over here. I always found that strange coming from the U.S. I had a doctor my first 2 years in previous stuff, and every single time I'd go in for an appointment, it was whether it was taking blood or they'd check stuff or just general checkups, he'd always try to convince me to do plastic surgery. Every single time.
What kind of plastic surgery?
Anything. He's like, anything you bought. He's like, but he was such a, that was his main thing, doing plastic surgery.
Was he just nitpicking at you, oh, you could use a little
no,
bit?
No. He never recommended certain, but he's you tell me and I give you free plastic surgery, free.
Was he Botoxed up and everything?
Oh yeah.
Jeez.
And that was for me. I never ever done. I don't know if you're allowed to do that in the U.S. Try to convince him.
Oh, convince someone? No, but obviously you can get it. But
I'm not even sure if he was fully certified.
Just couldn't even open his mouth.
But that was the first doctor I worked with. He was just trying to convince me to do plastic surgery.
He's all right, gonna check out your ankle. Go on
my head
knife.
open. Our big German middle cracked my head open.
Did he say he did?
And he was oh, you will. Then he told me you need plastic surgery because it was the one time where he could try to push me. I'm like, no, I don't. Didn't get it. Everything is fine. You don't even see the scar anymore. But yeah, team doctor trying to convince me to do plastic surgery.
Stem cells.
Yeah.
Have you heard about that? The crazy stem cell stuff. They had I remember they have a spray kind of. I got stem cells in me, but they have there was a burn victim, and they had the stem cell gun, and they sprayed it all, and it was gone. After the scars were gone after 3 months. Unbelievable.
Yeah, I hate anybody who knows me knows I hate needles, hate blood.
I'm with you on that one.
That's not my stuff.
Blood is for me. Needles are okay. Blood's not okay.
Blood's not for me. Another aspect of obviously being in Europe for me, and kind of adding on to what I talked about earlier, when we go out and do stuff as a team, we travel to cool places, And there'll be nights where it's like late at night, and I'm just walking through like, let's see, like Munich, or you're in Berlin or wherever you are. Like we were in Barcelona a couple of years ago with some friends. Like you're just walking through these crazy cool cities at night with like some of your best friends, and you're like, what the heck am I doing right now? That to me is always the craziest thing. What am I doing right now? Just walking like these places you see on TV and in movies and stuff, and you're walking there. That to me is always the craziest thing.
Yeah.
And it's always like when it's night, when it's later on, you're just kind of strolling, and you're like, what the heck am I doing right now?
It's crazy, like, because you think of it, like, you're getting paid for this, and other people,
Yeah.
like when they're on vacation, they're like, oh my God, I want to go back. For us, it's just like a normal day.
We travel, stay in these super nice hotels here in like Trentino, Italy, like in the mountains in Italy, in this dope hotel, and I literally walk out and I have a patio there, and I'm overlooking the mountains on a river there, and we're there to play a match. Like people travel here, like they save up their entire life to go on trips here, and I'm just like there for 2 nights, stay, eat dank Italian food. We had in Italy, Modena. They treated us after we had an exhibition match with them. They treated us to I think it was Modena. I'm pretty sure. I could be wrong about that. We played Modena. I don't know if it was that night. I'm pretty sure, but it was basically the Brazilian steakhouse version of pizza. Any possible pizza you can imagine. It was just coming out on trays, and they just walk around. You have a card, green, red card. So it was green light all night, and you're just trying the best pizza. It was, so that's what I'm talking about. You just go to these places, and you have this amazing. We were in Belgium. We literally had a hotel for Champions League. It was like they had this person downstairs, like a chef, just making Belgian waffles, fresh Belgian waffles. Who'd walk down.
What's the difference between like a Belgian waffle and a waffle? Can you taste the difference? Like, so if you give you Eggo waffles versus a Belgian waffle,
hey, obviously it's way better. I don't know what the difference is though.
But no, but I'm saying, can you taste the difference?
Yeah, an Eggo waffle.
All right, but like, all right, nicer than that one. But like a nice waffle versus like a Belgian waffle.
Yeah, you definitely can taste it.
Crunchier, softer inside.
I don't even fully remember, but they were unbelievable. I will say that. Pretty next level. And the other one, we talked about this on the podcast. Luckily on the guy side, I haven't seen anything like this. Maybe you have like a shirtless shoot, but clubs over here making the women's teams do lingerie shoots.
I heard there was one club that made them be prostitutes, and they would sell them to. I think it's the same team that did the calendar.
In France?
Yeah.
No
Dude,
way.
I swear to God, our friend was telling me this. All right, maybe not in France, but there is a club.
There's no way.
That was selling.
We're gonna have to do further research on this.
There was a club that was selling the players to like basically pushing them and kind of forcing or peer pressuring them into with the sponsors, sleeping with the sponsors. Swear to God, our friend was just telling us this. And because they had players that were there.
If you know about this, we need to do some further research about that because that's a big claim.
Dude, but think about it. I mean, from all the stuff we hear, it's crazy. I mean, that's just normal.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
I've never heard that, but if you say so.
I mean, I feel like it'd be, I don't know. Because they said they had players there that kind of got pushed to do that. Because there's a lingerie photo shoot that people have had to take. And then you got
it was in the contract, yeah.
Isn't that crazy? I'd be open to it. I'd be down. But it's different between a guy and a girl. I get that. There's a difference between a guy and a girl. And for me, if they said, hey, Joe.
Well, it's different if you want to do it, if you don't want to do it.
100%.
If you want to do it, then don't do it.
Would you do it if Lunenburg was like,
no.
All right, let's do a Speedo shoot?
For what?
For
They're
the content.
making money off of you.
So you wouldn't do it. It's not because you're in a Speedo. It's because
more so business idea, yeah.
If you were to get some profit off it, would you do it? It was in your contract to be like, you get
basically
percentage.
there's things that frustrate me about contracts, especially in the sport of volleyball, that obviously traditional American sports they have like locked up. It's like they look at all the assets and everything has a value. It's like when you do this, it's in volleyball so much. It's like, oh, everything is part of it, and it's like, not really.
But continue.
Like we do stuff working in the there's working events and stuff. It's like the U.S. Even for us, we're like good volleyballers and stuff, but we don't have like Olympic medals and stuff. But we show up and it's like people. There's always like a cost for that to do stuff.
But do you think we carry as much weight as these like other professional players?
You're talking about in Europe?
Mhm.
No, but I'm saying in your contract, like it's not everything needs to have like broken down more. So it's like, and maybe that's more so like just us being better in putting together our contracts and stuff. But in general, like having everything encompassed under that contract, I feel like at times like it needs to be more specified in terms of like what you're doing, and doing like a calendar shoot and stuff. Like there should be like residuals coming, or some kickback from like every like sale at least. If they're using your image, it's the same like name, image, likeness. College is making all this money off you. It's like, yeah, you're paying. At the end of the day, I feel like most of the time, teams are paying you to win matches. That's how they receive money from sponsors. Better you do, more money they're going to get at the end of the day. And so that's, at the end of the day, really what they're paying you for in professional sports. That's what I believe, at least, to entertain and to win. And the entertainment is that you're winning. And so all the other stuff, like, I don't know, I think it should be further negotiated at times in terms of, like, what, especially that, like, where they're using your body, basically. You should be, if you're having to do that for whatever, then you should be seeing something. And I don't know. That might be a little controversial.
100%.
But that's how I...
No, I think it's probably more laissez-faire. Maybe if you go higher up the chain, I don't know, if you're like one of the top players, you get stuff in your contract like that. But
yeah, for sure. Exactly.
If you're in the medium,
the more
like
you do it,
us.
the more you have room for negotiation. 100%.
100%. Is that it for Overseas Shiza?
That's what, for this week.
That's actually, I would say that's our most, we've had comedic, but that's probably the most educational Overseas Shiza that we've had.
Education. That's usually what I go for.
You have crazy, but Joe, you've been in this for 4 years. You're going to have crazy
Yeah.
stories as this thing goes on.
No, I mean, I have crazy stories.
Do you have the balls to say it? It's a real question. But there's some stuff that happens
Well, there's
that you're
just
like,
stuff that like doesn't like fit our brand. There's like ridiculous. We might have to create like a subscription.
I just
account
feel
for
if we
this
just don't say the names of these people.
Yeah, but you can't. It's stuff that you can't talk about.
That's true. I think that's where I get in trouble sometimes. the line is kind of pushed up real high for me, or it's blurred. Speaking of that, let's do a little recap or reevaluation of our last podcast. So our last podcast, what we talked about BYU. We talked about the fan cursing, saying racial slurs to the Duke player. When we posted that, I remember we posted that. We shot it on like Thursday. It came out like when we posted it that there's a possibility that it was fake. And then obviously in the comments it got roasted and all that stuff and all this other stuff. Now there's no, basically what came out is there's no evidence proving because they're like out of all no fans. It's a hearsay kind of thing. Hearsay, they say that. And then apparently what's it called? The godmother who posted it's also running for a government position, and she's known to put racist tweets out there. I'm not saying that like that automatic. I don't know. I don't know what take it with a grain of salt, I guess. And basically that was all going down, and then therefore it was like there's nothing that went down, and then people are milking it, et cetera, et cetera. Basically, as Joe said, it's hearsay. A lot of it. The police found no evidence whatsoever.
Yeah, it's not that it's wrong or anything. It's just there's no evidence. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I don't think a lot has come out about it. At the end of the day, like as soon as there's a little bit of doubt, then it gets difficult because especially when there's no like specific evidence and people are claiming they didn't hear. But at the same time, like I don't know. We've heard stuff like the stuff that we were talking. The thing is, people are commenting on our video. The stuff we were talking about was stuff we directly heard.
Yes,
I will.
We've had the exact same instance.
I would in a court of law. The stuff that we heard, I promise you, they would have said. That stuff that we weren't really. The stories we were talking about last week, Micah, I know he was there for it. I hear directly from him and his entire team, and they were there for it. Heard everything that he said was. Pretty much documented, and the stuff that we heard, the words that were being said, like I know because I heard it, I was there, and and so it's not like it's just totally like it. That's why for us, it didn't. I wouldn't say it shocked us. I think that's at the end of the day, what was when we saw that story, it wasn't like that's not shock. Like we've been there, we've played there plenty of times, we've heard stuff come out of that wasn't shocking. And so, from this specific incident, it's difficult to say right now. I think there will be further investigation. But, yeah, from what we were talking about last week, for people who are getting upset, that's exactly most of the stuff we were talking about was from our experiences there.
Mm-hmm.
We weren't speaking a whole lot on her behalf of any sense, or we were just kind of giving what was out there at the time and letting you know from our side that it didn't shock us. I'll say that. I think we got off the call and we're like, yeah, that's not a surprise.
Yeah. And because we do like to listen to our fans, we do like, even if you're not a fan, just listen to our podcast or our content and everything like that. We do read the comments and whatnot, and people were claiming that we're all political. We want to pertain to this side or that side, and we've gotten that in the past, because one thing about this podcast is we are not political whatsoever, and we don't really choose sides. We just take it for face value.
We're not very political.
Yeah.
We're very much like, we're not like this side on politics. It's like we have, I would say it's like definitely topic to topic based on like what our political beliefs are, I guess, technically, but we're not super political people. And for this type of stuff, we just speak from experience. And I am telling you, everything we said was our personal experience. I'm letting you know that.
Yeah.
And it wasn't that we were basing our conversation off of how we thought she was feeling or what she was hearing, because we weren't there. And we were just kind of like, just read the story and reacting to that.
I love when Joe gets fired up. Joe, what do you got in your hands over there?
I got the best electrolyte mix in the entire world, something that fueled us for our summer tour, fuels us for the entirety of the year. We have this in Europe with us. We just had a bunch of people write to us saying that they had invested in a box of Dr. Price's electrolyte mix. Mm-hmm. It's one of the best tasting things out there, especially for performance based substances, I would say, in terms of just being able to hydrate, provide good tasting stuff that you want to drink, because there's plenty of stuff out there that I just don't enjoy putting in my mouth, and this is something that I will. That sounded really weird.
I'm like, hey, yo.
That's gonna be clipped.
Oh my god, Joe, I love what you do.
I shouldn't say in my mouth. I should say in my body. That just sounds.
Hey, sussy.
Point is, Dr. Price electrolytes. Go check it out. Link down below. There's a code. You get 20% off. And it's just worth a try. I would say try it and go from there and see what all the hype is about.
Yeah. Hey, if you like good things in your mouth, Dr. Price electrolytes, absolutely 20% off. Hey, I love when you do paid promotions, because you give it your all, and I love it. And I don't know where it's going, but sometimes, but it ends up with gold. With that being said, if you can't handle the heat, goddamn kitchen. It's been another episode of Presented by Alex.